Ace Marvel said the red pill tells me what feminism won't. That's the thing, though. Listen, I took the red pill and I liked it. Okay, I kissed a girl and I liked it. But it lies to you a little bit, and that's what we're gonna get into in this video. Andrew Tate. He will discourage women from sleeping around, but then encourage men to sleep around. It makes no sense. So it's bad for women to do it, but he thinks it's good for men to do it. What he misses is that it's not good for anybody to do it. Hookup culture is bad for everybody, man or woman, they or them. It doesn't matter. It's not good for your brain. We have proof of this. There have been studies done on this. It makes you less happy in future relationships. It makes you less likely to commit. It makes you less likely to be satisfied in a future relationship. And it's also just entirely destructive to the family unit. And so I don't understand how someone like Andrew Tate can kind of be the head, be the leader of this kind of like conservative anti-feminist movement, but then preach an ideology that is not innately conservative, that doesn't revolve around marriage. Let me break it down real quick. I'm gonna draw it out for you, okay? I'm gonna make it crystal fucking clear. I'm gonna make a little chart right here, right? So what we're going over in this chart is the idea of sexual utopias. Each have different ideas of a sexual utopia. So we'll do a men's side. This is men's idea of a sexual utopia. And then there's women's idea of a sexual utopia. They have very different ideas of what this looks like. Now, men have a lot of seed. Okay, they produce like, I forget what the number is, but it's an absurd amount, okay? All right, so they produce like fucking 50 mil per hour, right? So they got a lot of seed here. Women produce like, okay, only 400,000 eggs left when they enter adulthood. Okay, so they have 400,000. Okay, big difference in numbers here. I should have drawn it as like little spermies. Whoop. And then we got the eggs in this bit. Eggs in this bit. They got 400,000 in a lifetime. That's not per day. That's not per hour. Lifetime. Right? So we got a big difference. There's this thing. It's called economics that talks about something called supply and demand. All right. And as you can see, we have a lot of supply and not a lot of demand. Right? So what this does is that women are the choosers, right? Women have all the control over the dating market. There's a bunch of men ready to nut, lots of babies to be made, and the women are the deciders of who gets to empty that sperm into their flower. This is, bro, every species that you can imagine, right? The men display and the women choose, right? This is the idea of peacocking, you know, you're showing off. Essentially, the women are always choosing in the relationship. So they have the majority of the control in the dating market. All right, so women, because they choose, they're always going to choose. This is just a process of natural selection. They're only going to choose their idea of the best man. Right? So this makes women hypergamous. This is a key word. Very important here. Now, here's a common myth that the red pill often talks about. The red pill often says that women are monogamous. This is not true. Now, hold on. You may be thinking, well, if they're hypergamous and they want the best man, then the best man can only be one man. So wouldn't being hypergamous also make them monogamous? This is wrong. This is an incorrect assumption, because who the best man is in their vicinity changes. right? So they are committed to one man at a time, but they are not committed to one man over the course of an entire lifetime, right? Women are hypergamous, all right? They are not monogamous. This is a lie. This idea that women are monogamous because they want to be, they want to be with the best man. That means they only want to be with one man at a time. That's not true, because who the best man is changes, right? Whenever you're 40 years old, your 50-year-old husband is no longer the best man. You may be introduced to another man, and then your loyalty goes to them. Women's idea of a sexual utopia, their idea is to be with the best man, but also, and this is what's kind of unrealistic, they want to be with the best man, and they also want that man to commit to them, and commitment from the best man. Now, this isn't really realistic to expect, because any man that gets selected, that is worthy of a woman's selection, also means that they've been pre-selected by multiple other women. And so the likelihood of him being loyal to that one woman is very rare. Fox. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Welcome to the membership, brother. So we've gone over women's idea of what a sexual utopia is. It's this right here. It's to be able to get the best man and to get infinite commitment from that man. What's a man's idea? A man's idea of a sexual utopia is to rid himself of the need to be selected, right? So he would get rid of, we've already gone over how women are the choosers. They have control over the dating market. They control what men get sex. So a man's idea of a sexual utopia is that they can bypass this choosing, and they don't have to be selected. Men had an idea long ago. Men's idea was that if we start encouraging women to have sex outside of marriage, if we encourage women to be less selective, then men will in turn get more sex. That makes sense, right? So this was their idea, right? Fornicate outside of marriage. I'll draw a little ring. Fornicate outside of marriage. They're gonna bypass their selection process by encouraging women to fornicate outside of marriage, right? This bypasses the selection process. They're like, okay, hey, we don't want to get selected. We don't, these women are too picky with who they choose to be in wedlock with. They are trying to bypass the selection process by encouraging women to fornicate outside of marriage, because, hey, if these women are being too picky with who they want to settle down with, let's just say they can settle down with anybody. We'll bypass the selection process, and then we'll have more sex. Well, that didn't really go as planned. So this is how feminism started. All of this led to feminism. Because you can't do this. You can't be successful in this encouragement without the consent of the opposite sex, right? Well, how do we talk women? This is fantastic. How do we talk women into wanting to fornicate outside of marriage? How do we talk them into this? We tell them that marriage is oppressive. We tell them that marriage is oppressive, that you've been treated poorly, and that you should have the right to fornicate with whoever you want. Vegas with Freddie said, y'all need to focus. That's what I'm saying. I'm dropping bars right. But here's the thing. So they used feminism to push this idea that women can have sex outside of marriage, right? Why would you save yourself for the best man that you can find when you can just fornicate with any man? Why save yourself for marriage, for this oppressive institution, when you can just go pork whoever you want? Right? So that was men's idea. But they misunderstood. They misunderstood female nature, because this doesn't get rid of this. They're still hypergamous, which means now the top 10% of men get all of the women. How all of this happened. I'm trying to explain that men and women have two different ideas of what their sexual utopia is. Marriage requires a sacrifice from both parties. It requires women to commit to a man long term with the understanding that better men may come along, internal, instinctual, primitive desire to go chase what is better and better and better. You make that sacrifice. You make the sacrifice to indulge in the continuous hedonistic treadmill of I'm gonna get this best man and marry him and then be with him for a little while and then this best man and then right. You're making a sacrifice for this primitive desire for short-term monogamy. So the women make that sacrifice. The men are also making a sacrifice. They're sacrificing that primitive urge to impregnate multiple women and choosing to commit to just one. Both parties are making a great sacrifice. Marriage is the only way, and I'm not even talking about necessarily like legal marriage or Christian marriage. That's not really what I'm getting at here. The bonding of two people for a lifetime is what I'm talking about. Not even explicitly necessarily about the legal ramifications of marriage here, but marriage is the only way that society can function properly. Because because the family unit is the foundation of raising future children. And we have so many studies, so many statistics about the implications of a child growing up in a broken family, of a child being raised in a home of divorce, of a child being raised by a single mother. So many statistics to show that this is not helpful. Marriage requires sacrifice from both parties. People need some ideas of social norms. And what feminism has done is it has taken those social norms away. It has changed the social norms to be something that is not helpful to society at all. And that's why feminism's fucking retarded. End of lecture. Hope you took notes. Bro said, wasn't feminism backlash against the patriarchy? That's what they made it seem like. That's what they made it seem like, but that doesn't even make any sense. Do you see how that doesn't even make any sense? To be backlash against the patriarchy, oh, let's open our legs for more men. Let's give men more of what they want by spreading our legs for less commitment. You understand how that doesn't make any sense? They made it seem like it was against the patriarchy, but really you're adding to it even more. You're giving men even more of what they want. That's why their ideas make no fucking sense. It used to be that a man had to work for his entire fucking lifetime. A man had to work for the rest of his life at a job that he didn't want so that he could come home to a family, a loving wife, a warm home-cooked meal, and a child that loved him. That's what it used to be for. Men used to have to make such great sacrifices just to have a woman. And now, these women are like, yeah, you don't have to do any of that. Just buy me this drink and I'll fuck you. Do you understand how that doesn't make any sense? You're just lowering. Women made it seem like they were raising their value by subscribing to feminism. It did the complete opposite. This is how societies prosper, bro. It's by having a strong nuclear family. This is being broken apart. The nuclear family is being broken apart. And you see the birth rate absolutely plummeting. What, you think these two things just aren't correlated?